Hey everybody, it's Eddie here from Dilleen Property. Today I'm doing a quick video to go through some of the expenses. What are the expenses when holding an investment property? And I thought I'd do this quick video. I've got the whiteboard here to really just break down the individual expenses like the council rates, the water rates, management fees, insurance, strata, mortgage repayments and all that kind of stuff, because I speak to a lot of people and most people forget about all the other expenses when you actually go to purchase an investment property or hold an investment property. So I'm going to break it down. So just so this is kind of do a little bit of like a cash flow sheet on the board behind me. So this is the way that I break down my individual properties that I ever buy for myself, for clients, and you can see how it's going to sit weekly, annually, monthly, and all that kind of stuff. So real quick, we'll start off with the first thing, which is the mortgage repayment. So right, expenses up here, expenses, and we've got mortgage repayments. Mortgage repayments, right? So that's one, we've got mortgage repayments. Next one's council rates. So council rates, you're going to have to pay whenever you purchase a property. So every council is different within Australia. So if you purchase in different states have different council rates and all that kind of stuff as well. And some charge them differently as well. So I know, for example, in New South Wales, you get a normal council rate. I've got property in New South Wales around the Central Coast, and that's around, say, $1,300 for the entire year for the council rates, roughly. It roughly works to be between $300 and $400 a quarter. Yeah, roughly around there. So council rates, is you're going to have to pay those. That usually you get billed quarterly, depending on what state or council you're in. Water rates is another one. Water rates. Water rates, that can be different again as well. So water rates, you could be looking anywhere between $100 a quarter to $400 a quarter, just depending on how it's actually metered and everything like that. So on houses and all that, they're a lot different. So if you have a house compared to a unit or a townhouse, sometimes they're metered individually, and units aren't. They're just all as one, and then you just get an average rate, etc. Some of that stuff you can pass on to the tenant, but it just really depends. But right now we just want to really make sure that you're aware of all the expenses and you can break that stuff down. So water rates, let's say council rates roughly are, say $1,400 per annum. Water rates can be anywhere between, let's just say $1,200 per annum, including usage and all that kind of stuff. So let's just say $1,200 per annum. Could be more, could be less. This is just rough figures. I know in Queensland they're a little bit higher council rates, and in some other states as well. I've got properties in Adelaide, and they're probably the lowest ones I've got. Yeah, so we've got council rates, water rates, management fees. Management fees is, I always suggest use a property manager, right? I started off using property managers, which LJ Hooker, and then I tried all these other different places and all that kind of stuff. Your property managers will usually take anywhere between 5% and could be upwards of 10% of your rough gross rental yield of the property. So, depending on where you live and where your properties are at, just say 7% roughly. Could be more, could be less, but say management fees. Fees. Say for example, if they're 5% roughly, and you're getting say $20,000 a year in rent, well then look, that could be $1,000 a year roughly. So let's just say $1,000 per annum for that. Could be more, could be less, but just rough figures. So council rates, water rates, management fees. Insurance is another one. So insurance, there's different types of insurance as well. let's just, for this scenario, say that's building insurance. So building, if you've got a house, you're gonna have to get building insurance. That depends on the value of the house, depends who you go with. There's different companies. I've used big banks like Commonwealth St. George. I've used Terry Shear, which is a good insurance company and all that kind of stuff. I've used lots of different, other companies. Building insurance, depending on the value of the house, let's just say, could be $1,500 for the entire year. Could be more, could be less, as I said, but let's just round it up. Landlord insurance. Landlord insurance. Landlord insurance, roughly, one of the companies I use in particular, it's for the whole entire year, it's roughly about $330. Landlord insurance is just the inside, internal part of the property, loss of rent and all that kind of stuff. So in case a tenant breaks their lease extension, so let's just say that could be, say, $350 per annum, right? Strata, if the property is a strata title property, so if it's a townhouse, a unit, or villa, or whatever the case is, you're gonna have to pay strata or body corporate, which they call it differently in some states. So let's just say strata or body corporate, body corp. Depending on what property you purchase, that's a very open-ended one. Once again, this is just a superficial overview of rough expenses. Some of my properties are roughly, I have townhouses and that. Say it could be anywhere between $1,500 the entire year. Could be upwards of $3,000 or $4,000 for the entire year. Let's just say average is probably $2,000 roughly, depending on what townhouse or unit you buy, what block, what's in the actual block, if it has an elevator, pool, etc., etc. So mortgage, council rates, water rates, management fees, insurance, strata. Other things to include, which won't go through today, but miscellaneous expenses such as repairs and all that kind of stuff. Times when there's no tenant in the property and all that kind of stuff. This is the ongoing fees and all that kind of stuff for actually holding a property. Once again, these are just rough numbers, and this is per annum. So you can quite simply see that if you have a property, that's a house, you won't have obviously strata and building insurance and landlord insurance. You either have one or the other, because a lot of townhouses and units, they have body corporate incorporated in the strata and all that kind of stuff. But just very plain and simple, that this is how council rates, water rates, management fees, insurance, landlord insurance, strata, and all that kind of stuff can equal up to a lot of money, which most people don't actually take into consideration. And if you break that down, that's per annum. So that's $400 there, $1,200 there. So you got $1,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. It could be $8,000 or $7,000 just on one property. On the average, I'd probably say some of the properties I've got, they're probably all that kind of stuff together. Because you either have this or this. You wouldn't have both. So it's either one or the other. Quite plain and simple, every property could have additional expenses besides your mortgage repayments, additional between $4,000 and $5,000 per year. Which, if you break that down weekly, if it's $5,000, you break it down weekly, it could be $125 per week, roughly, or monthly. You could be $400, $500 a month, roughly. So, this is just a really quick video. Always, look at, if you're purchasing a property, what the council rates are, what the water rates are, what the management fees are, what they're going to be, depending on who you go with, what rates you get, what insurance and all that kind of stuff it is, and everything like that. So just take all this kind of stuff into consideration. That's why it's especially important, and I am for properties that have a really high rental yield. I am for yields in terms of 7%, 8%, 9%. yields in metro areas. They're hard to find, but they're out there, and you know, I buy them on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video has helped you, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.